Story 1. The Phantom Handprint. It was a sweltering August afternoon, the kind where the air hangs heavy and still, promising a thunderstorm that never quite arrives. I was 26, driving my beat-up sedan through the suburban sprawl, and the car was caked in a week's worth of dust and pollen. A self-service car wash, tucked away behind a gas station, seemed like a good idea. It was one of those automated ones, where you drive in, pay, and the machinery does all the work. I preferred them. Less fuss, less interaction. I pulled into the bay, aligned my tires with the guides, and paid for the premium wash. The lights inside the bay were harsh, fluorescent, casting a sterile glow on the grimy concrete. The giant brushes began to whir, spraying water and soap, and the world outside became a blurry, sudsy mess. I leaned back, enjoying the momentary escape from the heat, the rhythmic thumping of the brushes against the car. Then, I saw it, a handprint, on the inside of my windshield. It was faint, almost translucent, but undeniably there. 5 distinct fingers, pressed against the glass, as if someone had just placed their hand there. My heart skipped a beat. I was alone in the car. The doors were locked, and I had just driven into the car wash. There was no way anyone could have gotten in. I stared at it, my mind racing. Was it condensation? A trick of the light? I wiped it with my sleeve, but it didn't smudge, didn't disappear. It was as if it was etched into the glass itself. The brushes continued their relentless assault, the water streaming down, but my focus was entirely on that handprint. It looked small, almost childlike, but the fingers were long, slender, and oddly splayed. It sent a shiver down my spine, despite the oppressive heat. The wash cycle continued, the rinse, then the wax, then the powerful dryers. The handprint remained, a ghostly imprint on the glass. As the final blasts of air buffeted the car, I noticed something else. A faint, sweet smell, like decaying flowers, began to permeate the car's interior. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but it grew stronger, cloying, making my stomach churn. When the cycle finally ended, and the green light flashed, I practically bolted out of the car wash. I parked in a nearby spot, my hands trembling as I stared at the windshield. The handprint was still there, clear as day. I tried wiping it again, harder this time, even using some window cleaner I kept in the glove compartment. Nothing. It was as if it was part of the glass. The sickly sweet smell lingered, a constant reminder. I drove home in a daze, the handprint staring back at me. That phantom handprint became an obsession. I tried everything to remove it. Special glass cleaners, abrasive sponges, even a razor blade, carefully, desperately. Nothing worked. It was as if the print was fused with the glass. It's out, a permanent stain on my perception. I started parking my car in the garage, facing the wall, just so I wouldn't have to see it. But even then, the image was burned into my mind, and the faint, sickly sweet smell of decaying flowers seemed to follow me. Clinging to my clothes, my hair, my very skin, I began researching. Old local legends, unsolved mysteries, anything that might explain a ghostly handprint and a strange odor. I found a few obscure articles about a cold case from the 1980s, a young woman who had disappeared after her car broke down near that very car wash. Her car was found abandoned, but she was never seen again. The police report mentioned a strange, unidentifiable residue on the windshield, and a witness claimed to have smelled something like lilies and decay in the area. The details were chillingly similar to be a coincidence. The woman, a local florist, had been on her way to deliver a large order of lilies when she vanished. My rational mind screamed for a logical explanation, but the evidence, however circumstantial, pointed to something far more sinister. The handprint, the smell, the cold case, they all intertwined into a tapestry of dread. I started having nightmares, vivid, terrifying dreams of being trapped in a car wash, the suds turning to blood, and a pale, gaunt face pressing against the glass, its eyes filled with an unbearable sorrow. I would wake up in a cold sweat, the phantom smell of lilies filling my nostrils. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. The car, once a symbol of freedom, had become a rolling tomb, a constant reminder of the unseen presence that had touched it. I sold it for a fraction of its worth, not caring about the loss, only about getting rid of it. The new owner, a young man who seemed oblivious to the car's dark secret, drove away with a cheerful wave. I watched him go, a profound sense of relief washing over me, mixed with a lingering unease. I never told him about the handprint, or the smell, or the urban legend. Some secrets, I decided, are best left buried. But even now, years later, when I pass a car wash, I instinctively hold my breath, half expecting to catch a whiff of decaying flowers, a chilling reminder of the phantom handprint and the woman who may still be reaching out from beyond the veil. Story 2. The Tunnel of Whispers. I was on a road trip, driving cross-country, and had been on the road for what felt like an eternity. My car, a trusty old SUV, was covered in road grime, and I decided to pull into a full-service car wash I saw off the highway. It was one of those older establishments, with a long dark tunnel that the cars were pulled through on a conveyor belt, the kind with neon lights and loud machinery, designed to be an experience. I paid the attendant, a young kid with a bored expression, and drove onto the conveyor. The tunnel entrance swallowed my car, and the world outside disappeared, replaced by the rhythmic clanking of the machinery and the spray of water. The interior of the tunnel was lit by an array of colored lights, blues, greens, and reds, that made the cascading water look otherworldly. It was disorienting, almost hypnotic. As the car moved deeper into the tunnel, the noise intensified. The giant brushes spun and slapped against the windows, the hypersure jets hissed, and the dryers roared. But then, amidst the cacophony, I started to hear something else. Whispers, faint at first, almost indistinguishable from the water and the machinery, but they grew steadily clearer. They weren't words, not exactly. More like a murmur, a low, guttural chattering, just at the edge of comprehension. I tried to pinpoint the source. Was it the speakers? Was there some kind of audio loop playing? I turned down my radio, straining to hear. The whispers seemed to be coming from all around me, from the walls of the tunnel, from the water itself. They were layered, multiple voices speaking at once, a chaotic symphony of hushed tones. It sounded like a crowd, but a crowd that was trying to keep a terrible secret. A cold dread began to settle in. The colored lights, which had seemed so playful moments before, now felt menacing, casting strange, distorted shadows. The car felt like a coffin, trapped on this relentless conveyor belt, moving deeper into the unknown. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, and I could almost make out individual sounds. A soft sob, a sharp intake of breath, a low, menacing chuckle. It felt like they were talking about me, discussing something I couldn't understand, something sinister. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white. I wanted to stop the car, to get out, but I was helpless, a prisoner of the conveyor belt. The whispers reached a crescendo, a cacophony of hushed voices that seemed to press in on me from all sides. I could feel a strange pressure in my ears, as if the air itself was vibrating with their presence. And then, just as suddenly as they had started, they stopped. The car emerged from the tunnel, blinking into the bright sunlight. The world outside suddenly loud and normal. I drove away, my heart still pounding, the memory of those whispers echoing in my mind. After that unsettling experience at the car wash, I found myself constantly replaying the sounds in my head. The whispers, the low murmurs, the almost words that seemed to be just beyond my grasp. I tried to convince myself it was just the acoustics of the tunnel, or perhaps some kind of auditory hallucination brought on by fatigue and the disorienting lights. but the memory felt too real, too visceral, to simply dismiss. I started avoiding car washes altogether, opting for hand-washing my car at home, even if it meant more effort. The thought of entering another enclosed, noisy space filled me with a profound sense of dread. A few weeks later, I was browsing an online forum dedicated to local urban legends and strange occurrences. I typed in keywords like car wash whispers and haunted tunnels. To my surprise, I found a few scattered posts, old and mostly forgotten, describing similar experiences at that very car wash. People spoke of hearing disembodied voices, strange sounds, and a general feeling of unease within the tunnel. One post, from an anonymous user, detailed a story about a group of teenagers who had dared each other to spend a night locked inside the car wash tunnel years ago. Only 2 of them emerged, traumatized and incoherent, muttering about the voices and the things in the water. The police had dismissed it as a prank gone wrong, or perhaps drug-induced hallucinations. But the car wash had been closed down shortly after, only to reopen under new management a few months later. The revelation sent a chill down my spine. It wasn't just me. Others had heard them too. The whispers weren't a figment of my imagination. They were real. And whatever was causing them, whatever entities resided within that dark tunnel, they had been there for a long time. The thought that I had been so close to them, trapped in that enclosed space, made my skin crawl. I tried to find more information, to piece together the full story, but the posts were vague, fragmented, and often ended abruptly, as if the authors had been too scared to continue to this day. The memory of those whispers remains vivid. Sometimes, in the dead of night, when the house is silent, I can almost hear them again. A faint, chaotic murmur, just at the edge of hearing. It's a constant reminder that some places hold on to their secrets, and some echoes never truly fade. And I know, with a chilling certainty, that I will never, ever drive through an automated car wash again. The risk of encountering those unseen voices, of being trapped in that tunnel of whispers, is a risk I am simply not willing to take. Story 3. The reflection in the foam. I'm a meticulous person, a stickler for details, and that extends to my car. I prefer to wash it myself, by hand, at one of those self-service bays, with the high-pressure hoses and foam brushes. It's a therapeutic ritual for me, a way to unwind after a long week. This particular Saturday, the sun was shining, a perfect day for a wash. I pulled into an empty bay, inserted my quarters, and started with the pre-soak. The bay was open air, but the walls were high, providing a sense of privacy. The air filled with the scent of soap and warm water. I was humming to myself, enjoying the solitude, when I noticed something in the thick white foam that was clinging to my windshield. A reflection, not of me or the bay, but of a face. It was fleeting, distorted by the bubbles, but it was undeniably there. It was a woman's face, pale and gaunt, with wide dark eyes that seemed to stare directly at me. Her hair was long and stringy, plastered to her face. The expression was one of profound sadness, almost despair. I blinked, and it was gone, swallowed by the swirling foam. I told myself it was my imagination, a trick of the light, or perhaps the soap creating an optical illusion. I shook my head, dismissing it, and continued with the wash. As I moved to the side of the car, scrubbing at a stubborn patch of grime, I saw it again. This time, in the foam on the passenger side window. Clearer now, less distorted. The same pale, gaunt face, the same wide, dark eyes. But this time, her lips were moving, forming silent words. I couldn't hear anything over the spray of the hose, but I could feel a cold knot forming in my stomach. It was too real to be a trick of the light. It was too specific to be my imagination. I dropped the foam brush, my hands suddenly clammy. I backed away from the car, my eyes fixed on the window. The face remained, a silent, ghostly presence in the foam. Her eyes were filled with an unbearable sorrow, and I felt an overwhelming urge to reach out, to comfort her. But then, her expression shifted. The sadness was replaced by something else, something cold and empty, a profound emptiness that chilled me to the bone. And her lips, still moving, seemed to form a single, silent word: help. I stumbled back, tripping over the hose, my heart hammering against my ribs. I looked around the bay, but I was still alone. The sun was still shining, the birds were still chirping, but the world suddenly felt wrong, distorted. I grabbed the high-pressure hose, aiming it at the window, blasting the foam away. The face disappeared, dissolved by the powerful stream of water. I continued to spray, frantically, until every last bubble was gone, until the window was sparkling clean. I finished the wash in a blur, my mind racing. I drove home, my eyes darting to the rearview mirror, half expecting to see her reflection. There. I never saw the face again, not in the car wash, not anywhere else. But the memory of those wide, dark eyes, and that silent plea for help, still haunts me. I still wash my car by hand, but now, every time the foam covers the windows, I find myself holding my breath, half expecting to see her reflection, a silent, desperate plea from the other side. That reflection in the foam, the woman's face, became a recurring nightmare. I'd see it in puddles, in shop windows, even in the condensation on my morning coffee cup. It was always fleeting, always distorted, but always undeniably her. The silent plea for help echoed in my mind, a constant, nagging question. Who was she? What had happened to her? And why was she appearing to me? I started researching local disappearances, cold cases, anything that might shed light on the woman in the foam. I spent hours poring over old newspaper archives, police reports, and online forums. I found a few cases that were vaguely similar, but nothing that truly matched the image burned into my mind. The details were always off: a different age, a different location, a different cause of disappearance. I was beginning to think I was losing my mind, that the car wash incident was just a figment of my overactive imagination, a stress-induced hallucination. Then, one day, I stumbled upon a small, almost forgotten blog post. It was written by a former employee of that very car wash, detailing strange occurrences he'd witnessed years ago. He spoke of flickering lights, sudden drops in temperature, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. But what truly caught my attention was his description of a recurring incident. Customers reporting seeing strange reflections in the foam, particularly on the windshields. He mentioned one specific instance where a customer had claimed to see a woman's face, pale and gaunt, with wide dark eyes, and a silent plea for help. The employee had dismissed it at the time, attributing it to the odd lighting and the customer's imagination. But he admitted that the image had stayed with him. An unsettling anomaly in an otherwise mundane job. The blog post didn't offer any explanations, no grand revelations, but it confirmed one thing: I wasn't alone. Someone else had seen her. Someone else had felt that chilling presence. It didn't make the experience any less terrifying, but it validated my sanity, however slightly. The knowledge that others had witnessed the same phenomenon brought a strange, unsettling comfort. It meant she was real, and she was still there, trapped in the foam, forever seeking help. I still wash my car by hand, but now, the ritual is tinged with a profound sense of unease. Every time the foam covers the windows, I find myself holding my breath, my eyes scanning the swirling bubbles, half expecting to see her reflection again. And sometimes, when the light hits just right, I think I catch a glimpse, a fleeting, distorted image of a pale, gaunt face, her wide, dark eyes staring out, forever pleading for help from within the confines of the car wash foam. It's a silent reminder that some pleas go unanswered, and some reflections hold more than just light.